1978, I got a job with a wastewater treatment plant consulting company. Decided, gosh, I'm bored. And so I quit, and people that had also quit the same company said, well, we started our own firm. Do you do mechanical? All of a sudden, I had all these little jobs, and I realized, geez, I better call myself something. Salas O'Brien and Associates. That's how the whole thing started.
I've been traveling all over the world actually doing startup at reactors, and I wanted to get out of the reactor business. There was an ad in the newspaper that said energetic energy engineer wanted. It was Dan O'Brien, and he lived 4 or 5 blocks from me.
He came over with hair over his shoulders, and we just kept on talking, and I realized we have something going on here. This is magic.
He was working in his garage with Roy Goodman. I started working for him part-time because we were feeling each other out. 50 years later, we are like brothers, and the company's bigger.
Carl told me at the time, he said, I won't hire you, but you can talk to Dan. We hit it off really quickly. There weren't really companies doing energy conservation at that time.
Gas prices were spiking, so I knew that energy conservation was going to be a big market.
They were the original environmentalists. The whole notion of the absolutely best, most efficient design and keeping up on all the various technologies. I can't think of a more rewarding field to be in.
When you're small like that, we would do projects, celebrate, and then, oh, what's next?
We got shortlisted for a job with the US Navy, drove up there in his little Volkswagen, and somehow got the job. And that really kind of led us to, people looked at us more legit.
We changed the name to really more reflect Carl's input in this because I knew it was huge.
You know, you're getting bigger and bigger. There's mortgaging our house to make payroll. We wanted to sell the company and to retire.
We were 50 employees and about $5 million in annual revenue. But I was saying to him, we have to have a succession plan.
I ran into a guy who had sold his company, and he said, I know this guy who looks for boutique companies. He sells them. Why don't you send him your resume and see what happens? So I did that, and a week later, Darren flies up.
Carl and Darren and I all met. I hit it off like instantly.
Darren and Paul came in the equation. It took a couple of years for me to go and realize what they were doing, and the light went off, and I thought, my gosh, these guys really have talent and they add value.
Carl stayed, and he had an employment contract that was to last for 5 years, and now it's 20 years later. So that tells you something about both those men.
Salas O'Brien today is awe-inspiring. I'm humbled by how much it's grown, how big it is, how diverse it is. I'm really proud.
It's unbelievable, really incredible. Never anything I envisioned.
I understand the company now has grown to something around 4,000 in staff, and that is almost incomprehensible to me, except that I can see how miraculously bonded people seem to be, how much we have in common. Just really extraordinary.
The sky's the limit. I mean, I can call anybody in the company now, and we can just, boom, we can get things done. So I just hope that staff always realizes and remembers and feels that every single job we do is changing the world for the better in a little way.